Hey and welcome to the Skippy Guide on Virginia Grand West. I want to take a brief moment to explain two important things before we get to the guide. This track is extremely long, which means that I won't be able to get into every detail on every turn, else the guide would take hours and in the end you would forget most of it anyway. That's why I will showcase the most important spots and highlight the strategies you should follow in the different sectors. Those tips will make it easy for you to finish solid and safe laps. It's also one of the tracks which you have to practice for many hours until you get the most out of every turn. It's impossible to finish that many hours of practice before your first race, because you'd spend the whole week practicing and wouldn't race at all. I'd recommend you to join the first races as soon as you feel confident and safe around the track. From that point you can use races to get closer to the limit and maybe even learn from your opponents. If you are not sure what to look for when you are optimizing your laps, then you should check out the video on the top right. It's my track learning guide which explains you step by step every detail that matters when you learn a new track and teaches you what to look for. Let's give you a head start and hop into the car. Turn 1 is tighter as it looks. Use the 3 and 200 meter boards as markers, hit the brakes hard and shift down into second gear. You want to attack the curb and be back on the throttle as soon as you pass it. Position the car on the right side to get a wide entry. And use the end of the curb on the left as marker for braking. You want to tap the brakes, downshift into third gear and let the car swing to the outside of the track. Once you reach the outside of the track you can step on the throttle again and accelerate onto the short straight. The next turn is important. Don't take any risks on the entry because you need a good exit. There's no great brake marker around here, but you can use the tire marks on the track for orientation. Go hard on the brakes and shift down into second gear. Attack the curb and be patient. You want to turn the car a lot to exit on the middle left and get a wide line for the right-hander. It saves you a tap on the brakes and you can step early on the throttle. That's a key moment because the whole upcoming sector is flat out. Being early on the throttle nets you some time down the straight. The upcoming sector is easy. Aim for a smooth line, attack every curb, and you shouldn't run into any issues. We are approaching the last right-hander of the combination. All turns were flat out and this one will be too, but with a little trick. Shift down into fourth gear before you turn in. It gives you more traction and by running higher RPMs up the hill you also gain some time. Position the car on the far right and lift. That's all you need to do here. Try to get a tight run around the curb and engage the throttle as soon as you know that you make the turn. The 2 and 100 meter boards help you to find your braking point. The braking zone is divided into two parts. First you want to be aggressive on the brakes and shift down into second gear. Turn in, let the car swing to the outside of the track and tap the brakes again to shift down into first. A long straight is coming up, so make sure that you're early on the throttle. Stay in fourth gear on your way up the hill until you reach the short plateau. Shift only into fifth when you are on it, else you lose about a half tenth. The next braking zone is divided into two parts again. Go hard on the brakes and engage them between the 4 and 300 meter boards. Shift down into second gear and turn in. This turn is closing in towards the exit. That's why you want to stay on the brakes, trail brake deep into it and shift down into first to hit a late apex. Engage the brakes at the exact moment you reach the pit. The apex is blind and hidden behind the crest. If you have troubles to hit it, you can use the curb on the right as marker for turning in. Stay in second gear all the way down the hill, hit the brakes before the last turn and shift down into first because the turn is tighter than it looks. The 3 road dividers on the right notify you about an upcoming dangerous spot and serve as brake marker. Stick to the right side of the track and hit the brakes when you pass them. This combination is difficult at first, but it becomes easy once you know what to do. Use the first right-hander for braking. That's why you want it to stay on the right side of the track. You get a nice, nearly straight line to decelerate and can set the car up to hit the next apex. Don't take any risks on the entry, because you have to hit this curb. If you hit it, the next 2 turns become part of the exit and you can take them flat out. Once you accelerate again, you want to stay in third gear and use it for the whole sector, without touching the brakes. Instead you want to work only with the throttle and lift while turning in to hit every curb on your way up the hill. We have another set of 3 road dividers on the left, which warn you about the next dangerous turn that's coming up. We are still in third gear and position the car on the left side of the track. The end of the curb on the left is your marker for braking. The next turn is invisible, but as long as you don't miss the braking point, it's easy to hit. Shift down into second gear and prepare for the last combination. On the way down you don't want to shift up beyond the third gear again. It serves a simple purpose. 2 last turns are coming up and we want to sacrifice the first one of them to get a nice run onto the long straight. Staying in third gear makes it easier to hit a tight line into the left-hander. Lift and attack the curb to push the car as far to the left as possible. That way you get a wide entry for the last turn and a fast exit. That's it. As mentioned before, it's a long lap, but the track itself is not too difficult. Once you know the layout, you're ready for racing. The cockpit lab with my inputs is coming up next. The setup and all additional lab files are on the community Discord. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, I wish you all the best for the next week and see you next time.